Global Affairs in the Mason community is happy to welcome one and our distinguished guests to this very unique forum. The Global Affairs program is more than 600 students with specializations ranging from global governance and international development to world regions such as the Middle East and Africa and Central Asia. One is a grassroots campaign and advocacy organization backed by more than 2 million people who are committed to the fight against extreme poverty and preventable disease, particularly in Africa. The interests of One and Global Affairs converge in multiple ways. Perhaps most importantly, we share a vision and an approach that is truly global in the possibilities for understanding, in the case of Global Affairs, and in the case of One, a model of advocacy for working alongside people of poor nations in the areas of health, education, and agriculture. So we'll begin with Congressman Connolly. As a member of the House Budget Committee, you have strongly supported $58.5 billion for international affairs programs in the fiscal year 2011. What could we do as constituents, some among us who are or are thinking about becoming One members, to help secure this critical funding?
I think that it's very important for members of Congress to know there's a constituency for the foreign affairs function of the budget. A lot of our constituents, if you ask them, how big do you think foreign aid is, or international affairs, as a slice of the budget, would probably answer you, it's a quarter of the budget, it's a third of the budget. The fiscal 2011 request is 1.4% of the total federal budget. It's a small sliver of what we do, and that represents an increase, I might add. So trying to educate people, including members of Congress, about the modest nature of that budget, but B, how important it is as something that needs to be complementing our military budget is really important. Now, the good news for us is we have an ally in the Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, who, when he was President Bush's Secretary of Defense, made the point that we cannot fight our way into or out of every conflict or challenge we face. We've got to have a vigorous diplomatic effort in the United States, and that means trying to rebuild our diplomatic capability around the world, and much of which was very damaged, frankly, in the last 8 years. So I'm trying to make sure we have that foreign affairs function of the budget so we can do what the Secretary of Defense himself said we need to do is really important. And I think citizens carrying that message can make a big difference, because quite frankly, it's unusual to hear anyone say it.
All right. It's been since 1985 that Congress has passed a review of the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961, let alone a new piece of legislation. And two major efforts I've been associated with in 1989 and 1994 failed, and I'm back involved in a new effort. So we are still dealing with a piece of legislation that's called the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961. That's unbelievable that our foreign assistance program foundation is still guided by legislation that's 50 years old. So I think we have a real opportunity, and I hope the Congress and the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Chairman Berman succeed